Let's talk about why Spider-Man Far From Home was refreshing, memorable, and made me feel like a teenager again. Hey everyone, my name's Jim and welcome back to My Movie Obsession, a place for film obsessives and geeky movie fans, and it's time to talk about Spider-Man Far From Home, directed by Jon Watts and starring Tom Holland, Samuel L. Jackson, Jake Gyllenhaal and Zendaya. So this movie tells the story of Peter Parker after the events of Avengers Endgame, going on a school trip to Europe and being pursued by Nick Fury, because Nick Fury's got no one left after the end of Avengers. You know, we could ask Captain Marvel for help, but she'd probably be like, no, I'm not helping, thank you very much.
No, I'll be the first me, not the next Tom Cruise, thank you very much.
Wow. So Nick Fury just pursues Spider-Man to Europe, and of course monsters start to attack Europe, and Spider-Man teams up with the mysterious Mysterio, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, to try and save the day. Now, just like Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home captures what it's like to be a teenager. The writers of this really do understand the teenage kind of life. I really do feel like there's kind of an 80s John Hughes teen movie vibe going along with, you know, the superhero genre. I feel like they just know how teenagers are, and I feel like one of the problems with the early Spider-Man movies, even though I like a lot of them, was that they were too serious. The relationships in it were too serious. Like, it was like Spider-Man and Mary Jane had 3 kids and a mortgage. Like, just so serious. Whereas in this, it's very teenage puppy love, the relationships. And everything that goes on is very teenage and very from an innocent and more charming, sweet time in our lives before things got really serious. All Peter wants is to just tell MJ how he feels. It's just a girl that he likes. And that's it. You know, and I like that. I like how it doesn't have this massive end of the world love story, which it seems to in the early Spider-Man movies. So I like that. I liked getting transported back to that time of just innocent and just sweet, charming infatuation that you feel as a teenager. This was a real coming-of-age movie for Spider-Man. Now, Tom Holland brings forth, again, Peter Parker's unsure insecurity about being a superhero, which he's kind of exhibited since we've seen him. And I like that, because a lot of superheroes, you know, they have a movie and then they're the superhero. And they're just so confident and they've become it. But in this, you know, all throughout seeing Tom Holland's Peter Parker in the MCU, he's always been unsure of himself. He's always been a matter-of-fact teenager. And he doesn't believe that he's ready to take his place with the elite. And I really like that, because it's a perfect way of differentiating Spider-Man from the other heroes. The fact that he is a teenager. He has to learn responsibility. He has to learn to kind of become a hero. He can't just immediately grow up. And I feel like that's what this film's about. It's about Spider-Man choosing between whether he wants to be a kid or whether he wants to grow up, or whether he can combine the two. Obviously the death of Tony Stark is looming over this film, and I really enjoyed that. I feel like Tom Holland does great in showing Peter Parker's genuine affection for Tony Stark and the way it's still affecting his life. I feel like there's a great storyline looming over the film of who's going to be the next Tony Stark, who's going to be the next Iron Man, and Spider-Man being unsure if it's him. And I like that. I liked how we haven't just forgot about the death of Tony Stark. It's still looming over things. It's still really, the world doesn't know what to do. And it's a really important event in world history. And again, this movie is set in the real world, even though it's crazy and fantastical. It just makes me think of like what would happen if superheroes existed in the real world. It would probably be how it is in Spider-Man Homecoming. You know, we'd see little tributes to Tony on TV, or, you know, in stations, videos of Iron Man. We'd see all that, and it's just interesting to me and intriguing. And the world is looking for that next Iron Man, and they want it to be Spider-Man, and Peter Parker just doesn't know if he's ready for that. This movie was so memorable because it has Spider-Man in places we have never seen him before. It was great to see a superhero movie go outside of America and take Spider-Man across Europe. Wonderful images to see Spider-Man swinging around France, around Prague, around London. Just images we had never seen before, and it gives the movie this kind of broader feel. Gives the movie this more ambitious feel. Kind of a road trip movie where Spider-Man's just travelling around with his classmates and things are just happening along the way. And I think it gives the movie this sense of escapism, it gives the movie this sense of a broader world and a bigger spectacle. And I enjoyed it. So many memorable images. Great to see Spider-Man in Europe, because of course I'm from Europe and there's not many superhero movies that happen in Europe. Obviously people are going to comment down below and they're going to list about 2 million of them, but I can't really think off the top of my head. It's just great to see Spider-Man in the place I'm from, I guess. Well, I'm from it, but technically the UK isn't part of it anymore. I think Zendaya is a great Mary Jane. I feel like she's a refreshing take on Mary Jane from what we've seen before. Again, she's a proper teenager. She's not taking on these massive kind of responsibilities and ideas of love that we had Mary Jane in those first 3 movies. And I like how we're seeing a journey of Spider-Man growing up and Mary Jane growing up. We need that, and I really want to see Tom Holland stick around. I feel like he's the greatest Spider-Man. I really do. I really like Tobey Maguire, but I think Tom Holland's better. I think Tom Holland has just completely embodied this character, and I feel like everyone's happy with him as Spider-Man. You know, in the past, we always wanted to reboot Spider-Man. It just kept going through reboot after reboot. Now I feel like we're settled. I feel like Tom Holland as Peter Parker will be a great actor to see Peter Parker grow up. And I'll be interested how, as Tom Holland does get older, how they tackle him getting older. But at the moment, I'm just enjoying that innocence and that purity, and a superhero who is a teenager who we're just not seeing in any other superhero movies. There's only one superhero who is young, dealing with the teenage life. That is Spider-Man, and let's stick with that for a bit longer, because we've never really seen that. We've always seen Spider-Man getting too serious for his own good. And Tom Holland fits right in with all the young co-stars, because as we know, Tom Holland is actually 23. And they say I got a baby face. Mysterio is wonderfully played by Jake Gyllenhaal. It's a real gritty performance with real presence and real intimidation. There's more to Mysterio than meets the eye, that's all I'll say. And we'll see, that's not a spoiler because everyone knows there's more to Mysterio than meets the bloody eye. Mysterio in this movie is kind of a character I'd never seen one like before in the MCU or superhero movies. You know, we usually get movies about characters, superheroes fighting massive monsters and that's it. But that's kind of not the storyline in this. We get more, and we get an interesting take on Mysterio, and it's more beneath the surface than you'd expect. And I'm not going to spoil it, but Jake Gyllenhaal's performance is wonderful. I think the take on Mysterio is fantastic. It's very unpredictable, and it's very intriguing, and it's very makes you think about what's gone on in Avengers Endgame, so it ties into that. Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury is just once again a classic, badass, hilarious performance by Samuel L. Jackson. This guy just doesn't stop, guys. Forget about Keanu Reeves. Samuel L. Jackson is the real vampire. He does not age. He's done 3 Marvel movies this year. The man just doesn't stop. He just doesn't look old. He's just not going to stop. Samuel L. Jackson. Forget Eddie Murphy in Vampire in Brooklyn. Samuel L. Jackson should have played that role. He is a vampire.
This is a tasty burger.
I really like the banter between Nick Fury and Peter Parker. I feel like Nick Fury's like the principal and Peter Parker's like the naughty student, because Nick Fury has to chase him along and he's constantly annoyed by him. He doesn't realise that Spider-Man wants to have this regular life. He's just like, we've got this shit going on, we need you, Spider-Man. And he just doesn't understand how Spider-Man could have been to space in Avengers Endgame and done all this stuff and still not be fully comfortable with being a superhero. And Nick Fury's just like, what's going on, I need your help. And he has to chase him. Just hilarious stuff about Peter Parker ghosting Nick Fury. He's the ghosting Nick Fury. He's trying to get away from Nick Fury. And it's just pushing Nick Fury's buttons. He's like, how can this kid possibly deny me, you know, a conversation? It's just hilarious stuff. Samuel L. Jackson, once again, one of the great characters in the MCU. And he's not going anywhere, guys. Samuel L. Jackson is not going anywhere. What a wonderful actor. What a wonderful performance. Spider-Man Far From Home is a wonderful movie, guys. I absolutely love it. Made me want to be a teenager again. It has that kind of teenage feeling running throughout it. That escapism, that charm, that adventure. But it also has some darkness to it. It has some looming responsibility that's being imposed on Peter Parker. And I just love it. I love the action. I love Mysterio in the film. I love Nick Fury. I feel like everything comes together. Brilliant pace. I actually think this is better than Homecoming, guys. I loved Homecoming, but this is just... You want to see more of Tom Holland as Spider-Man. And the post-credits is possibly the best post-credits I've seen in Marvel. It's got me absolutely pumped for what's coming next. Let me know what you think of Far From Home in the comments down below. I think I'm a little bit safer with this one, because my last video, my review of Midsummer, got absolutely destroyed, because I absolutely love Spider-Man Far From Home, and I'm sure most people do. Lay off me, guys. Midsummer's just a movie, and it's just my opinion. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please comment down below. Please let me know what you think. Please press subscribe, and we can discuss our movie obsession. And also tap that notification bell so you can see every upload. And I will see you guys in the next video.